You're listening to The Bon Ray Show. It's 8 in the evening. Tune in every night at 8 to listen to The Bon Ray Show on Irish News Radio or ITV.ie.
Talking to Derek, shocking news that he was given death threats for having an opinion that is totally against the leftists. You're not allowed to have an opinion unless it's their opinion. It's absolutely shocking. Somebody come up to him and give him a death threat for actually just giving opinions from far as I can see. Okay, good morning, Derek. That's absolutely shocking, disgraceful.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning to everyone. It's the day after, the night before, well, the morning before, actually. The situation occurred, well, the weekend. It was a good weekend for me because I went to the KBC protests. I did the video, the live stream. I spoke when the breakaway group went to the KBC bank. I believe that I calmed the situation down, albeit I was verbally abused by two Pacific protesters that said that they're there for violence in front of the guards. So I left and I just finished off the video. And then I went back then to the family house here. I'm in Dublin, my own house. I'm living obviously in Roscommon. So yesterday morning, I planned on leaving Dublin to go to Strokestown under pretense that it's going to be a whole day protesting. And as I'm leaving Dublin, a lad came up on a motorbike. Now, I want to give your listeners an understanding of what happened. I'm driving past roundabout, and the guy comes out of nowhere. And he pulls up on my driver's side window and signals me to lower it down. Now, your listeners are probably saying, why did I stop the car? Well, everyone now has a phone. Yeah. And if I move the car, he's going to be speeding with the motorbike. I'm not going to be speeding. He can jump right in front of the car, skid, and I could knock him down. And that's me then done for dangerous driving. And that's the truth what we're talking about here. So I lowered it down a little bit. He said, lower it down more. And he has a double Ballyforma accent. Lower it down more, he said. And I said, no. And then he said, I know where you fucking live. And I will fucking kill you. With the ballot, he has black.
Did he say why he was threatening you, or was it just?
He said when he said I'll fucking kill you. He said you need to be very careful what you're saying. He said we don't like what you're saying. That's what he said, and I was calm in the situation because I'm in confrontation with this guy, knowing that he could have a gun, knowing that if he shot there, he's probably going to get the neck, my shoulder, my head. And what's going to happen to him? He's going to just drive off on his motorbike and go off and play his PlayStation 4 and play FIFA with the lads and laugh about it. And that's the kind of Ireland we're living in today. And I'm telling you, listeners, I went to Strokestown. And I got to Strokestown at 1:15 from Dublin. And when I got there, I was ashamed to be there, because when I got there to Strokestown, the protest was over. And I saw Sinn Fein councillors there, and I'm not going to mention names because, by the way, I don't even know their names, but I know their face. I saw them there, a lot of Sinn Fein, and I'm saying to the local community there, off camera, and I was on camera, and I said it was orchestrated and it was organised. And I'm saying to the local community there, that is not a protest. I'm saying to local community,
Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael, it's absolutely disgraceful. The leftists, we're in such dangerous times. It really is so scary that we don't have any conservative voices in government. But like, we all grew up conservative. Now it's seen as a bad thing. We all grew up. All our parents were what they call nowadays as right wing, but everybody was conservative. This leftist fucking agenda has just gone far too crazy. It's like they've just no sense of right and wrong. What they do is over the top. They think somebody speaks out, then they have the right to threaten your life for words. They think words equal death. It's absolutely crazy. They think that hate speech is something real, that there's such thing as that you can make somebody kill other people by saying oh, you know, that by this book is dangerous, by warning about dangers. They think that if they don't like it is hate speech, and that then you're influencing someone to kill, which is quite a huge jump. Like, words do not get people killed. And when they go on about Hitler was a leftist. I'm just so sick of all of this, Derek. I'm so sorry for you. It is crazy. Did he give you any indication of what part of what you were saying he didn't like?
Just indication that he don't like what I'm saying, and you know, he will, you know, as he said, you know, he will kill me, you know. They're definitely I'm not saying, I've said privately who I
Yeah.
believe is behind this, but you know, I'm not targeting no one. I specifically want to
Okay,
mention
I
to
understand.
anyone out there, yeah.
All political parties are corrupt. There's people before profit are as bad as Sinn Fein. Sinn Fein are exactly like Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael. We have no conservative party with conservative values, with family values, traditional family values, everything we all grew up with in a traditional Ireland setting, safe and sound. Not what they're bringing in, and what they want is third world immigrants and putting us all, our lives in danger. And the leftists want this. They want a breakdown of society, and they don't want traditional values, where that was where we all were safe in, not in this madness where people get beaten out of their houses and evicted. Like, it's just crazy.
I was at the protests on Saturday, and the first protesters I was speaking to, they identified as people for profit. And I said to him, "Oh God, is this what it's about now? Do I have to go home?" And they
Yeah.
were shocked. They didn't like that. And I said, "Look, I'm not here like to make fun of anyone here, but what I am here is to unite people together. That's what we're here for." Now, there was one gentleman that went around, I can confirm it. One gentleman was going around telling everyone, "We're breaking off from the GPO and we're going straight to the bank." And I said to him, I said, "Listen, do you know what you're doing? It's not going to work." And he said, "Listen," he cursed at me and he said, "That's what it's all about. We got to go at them." And look, and I'm saying, like, look, I could have done it 5 years ago, but I didn't. I didn't.
Yeah.
There's a way of doing things in a civilized society. If you don't want to do that, go over to Saudi Arabia and scream about women's rights over there. Don't come here and be screaming women's rights and you're dragging them to their abortions after the pub. Because I went in Town yesterday and what I saw was queuing after the pub. And I'm telling the local community and in Roscommon and in Ireland that stop queuing after the pub. Stop putting yourself down. Stop queuing up after the pub in Temple Bar. Do you know what I mean? And that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying to all the listeners. I'm saying I got death threat yesterday, and
Yeah.
I'm out going on with my life. My wife working today. There's no Christmas in my house this year, and that's the
Why is that?
truth.
Because you're
There's
got such. Why are you not celebrating it? Exactly. Is it because you were got such a fright, or you just have had enough
no.
of the government?
It's the country. How
It's
can
absolutely.
anyone
Yeah.
celebrate Christmas in this environment that we're living in? We're living in dangerous times. And I've said
Yeah.
it previously to your listeners, and I will continue to say it. If I take Padraig Pearse from 1916 and put him into 2018, he'll think there's an Easter Rising going on. He will think it's 1916 again.
Yeah. It really
That's
does feel like, you're totally right. I've heard other people saying that they're not celebrating Christmas because of the abortion. They cannot believe
yeah.
that Michael D. Higgins. I mean, I don't know why they don't believe. I don't even know how he got voted back in again. I think
Well,
after
he got
the
voted.
abortion bill, I don't know how they didn't see that was
Hmm.
coming. But of course, he was going to sign it in. But
Do you
they're like
know?
saying, people saying they can't celebrate Christmas because of the abortion. They feel like it's just barbaric. It's murder, and people are celebrating murder, murder up to 9 months.
Murder
That's
up to 10 months in some circumstances. But what I'm saying to local community is what I am saying, and look, I'm repeating myself. You know, it's abortion on demand queuing after the pub. Abortion on demand, free on medical card, queuing after the pub, because it's $4.50 per abortion. Who's going to pay that? Is Mary going to pay that? Is
no, the
Faith
taxpayers
pay that?
paying.
What about little Johnny running away after the pub? He's not going to pay for it either. And what I'm
No.
saying to the local community is, on the 7th of January, there's 7 confirmed hospitals around Ireland that will perform an abortion. Rotunda,
Oh,
Limerick,
jeez.
Waterford, National Maternity Hospital, and 3 others off the top of my head I don't have, but you go on my Facebook page, you will see them. I can confirm Mayo and Mullingar will not be facilitating abortions.
Okay,
Now,
good.
I can also confirm to your listeners to call Limerick Maternity Hospital. Speak to General Manager Mary O'Brien. Speak to the Director of Midwifery and Nursing, Margaret Quigley Hughes, and bombard them with phone calls, speaking civilly but with anger. I can confirm to your listeners publicly, I called Limerick Maternity yesterday, last night at 11:30, and I spoke with a named nurse, Bridget, who's the head. Now, a lot of people are going to be listening to this and saying, "Oh, jeez, Derek is, he's very aggressive. He's too extreme." And I'm saying to those people that are thinking like that, I'm
Earth
not.
is extreme.
I'm a family man sticking up for family values, and I will not have abortions free on medical card queuing after the pub in this country. Not what the 12 men that died in Kilmainham jail died for. Because I tell you something, if I was Patrick Pierce and I was killed and I'm looking at life now, I'm going to say, why did I do it? Why did I do it? I didn't die for this. And I'm saying to your listeners to bombard Limerick Maternity, because Limerick Maternity, they're already scared. And that's a good thing. That is a very good thing, because these people have to listen to the Irish people. 66% voted to repeal the 8. 66% of the people didn't vote for abortions on demand, free on medical card, queuing after the pub. They, under any circumstances, they did not
Nine
vote.
birth is disgusting, and even if the baby is born and
For an
through the
abortion.
abortion and to
The
somehow
baby there
survive,
that 24 weeks, 25 weeks, it'll be screaming there on the saucepan like you're cooking eggs, and it will just die off then like that. Like it's
Jesus
a
Christ.
piece of
I
rubbish. And I
mean, God, yes.
even a dog that's been put through euthanasia is given painkillers. Because I lost my family dog, a Yorkshire Terrier. The dog just, when my mother's sister died, the dog just fell apart. The dog fell apart, went deaf, went blind. The dog had to be put down.
I
Yes,
ask you
sorry.
a question. What do you say to people who say that we are making this up, because they really did believe that the abortion is only up to 12 weeks, it's
I'm
only
saying I'm saying to those people, go on your Windows 95 computer. If you're living in the country, you have to use dial-up connection, because Dennis Naughton had his a couple of brown envelopes Christmas dinners too early, and type in on Google what abortions are. I want you to go on Google, then open up a new tab, go to your little Internet Explorer, and go on there, open new tab, and type in Termination for Pregnancy Bill, Irish abortion law, and I want you to read it. Get your cup of tea, get your little Jacob's biscuits, sit down, put your slippers on, light the fire. Yeah, if you're living in Dublin, turn the heating on, and have a read. That's your Christmas reading there now for your listeners to do, and the New Year as well. Have a little read of it. And while you're at it, open up another tab and open up the sex education bill and have a little read of that as well. Oh yeah, and while you're at it, open up the California sex education law as well and have a little read of that. And then I want you to go on the Wikipedia then and type in Catherine Sapone and see where that little woman is born. And you tell me, and your listeners come on my Facebook and tell me that, Derek, you're wrong.
because there's so many people I've talked to about and we've put up things. There's a man going around doing interviews and educating Irish people about the bill, and majority of people who said yes, we voted yes, but and he said, "Are you aware of this? Are you aware of that?" And he was like, "No." And then a man came up to. He was like saying, "This is all lies. It's only up to 12 weeks. You're making all this up. This is, scaremongering." And a lot of people still believe. A lot of people who trust in the government still really trust in the government. They still are not awake. I mean, majority of people listening to this program are awake, but the majority of Irish are still believe it's 12 weeks.
A lot of people listening to the program are not awake.
Yeah.
They're not awake. And the reason why I'm saying they're not awake is I don't see any sort of uprising going on.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about violence here. I'm talking about peaceful uprising. Because what is going on here? People are saying, I trust the government. Okay,
They do,
let
yeah.
me
It's very
take
sad.
that for a second. They were trusting the government 20 years ago, 30 years ago. Let's go back to the 1960s, 1970s when they were trusting the government building the council houses for people that aren't even working. Half the country weren't even working, and now they're suffering now because they got those council houses. They owe them 40 years later. They're their own houses, and they're mortgaging them out in 2007, willy-nilly, queuing after the pub, and then they can't pay those mortgages back now. And I'm telling your listeners, there's over 150,000 people in mortgage arrears in this country right now that's going to be going on the streets like the McGann family very soon. 150,000 people are going to be put on the streets. And what are you going to do? What are you going to do about it? And I'm saying to you listeners, 100 years ago, we were trusting our courts. We were trusting the church. We were trusting the government when the women were lining up in the Magdalen laundries. And there was no queuing after the pub because they were working for slaves. And their children took off them. The babies took off them and run down the drains. And you're saying to me, Derek, what are you talking about? I'm telling you, go down to Tuam and 150 babies buried under the ground there.
Simon Harris says he's got 200 and something on the waiting list for abortion.
No,
Voting
not
it.
200 and something, not 200 and something, 400 and something, he said. Yeah, the figure he says 372 people. People, not women. 372 people waiting for their abortions on demand, free on medical cards, queuing after the pub. And I'm telling the Irish people,
Christmas waiting to kill your child. What is wrong with this country? And what is wrong with this government boasting that he has this amount of numbers? He's looking forward to the death.
I'm telling your listeners right now, and I said it privately, but you said it about the water. Oh, before I get to that point, 450 per abortion, 60 a day, 300 a week, 1,200 a month. That's the money we're dealing with right now. And I'm saying to your listeners, I am under the assumption that in the Catholic Church, the holy water is tainted. Now, you're saying to me, Derek, now you're talking blasphemy. Well, there's no blasphemy laws, number one. Number two, the Catholic Church is a disgrace to this country. Always has and always will be. The LGBT community has the Catholic Church in their hands till this day. 75% of the priests in Ireland are gay, openly gay. And I'm saying to your listeners, tread softly when you're going to Mass. And I'm someone that religion is a personal, private matter. I'm not attacking anyone. I'm just giving you my understanding of the situation at hand. The Catholic Church is advocating for the LGBT agenda. And I'm saying to my local community, in 10 years' time, gay people will be able to get married in church. And that's a fact. Because the way life is going right now, Hollywood is gay.
Derek. I'd say about 2 or 3 years. Should we have a gay prime minister? Most of the government is gay.
I want to say to your listeners that are listening, that I'm not against people doing whatever they want to do in the privacy of their houses. It's protected by constitutional law. But when you come out openly and you advocate for something that goes against family values, as a family man, I'm going to speak out against this. I
Well, it
am.
just infringes on our rights and our way of life. And I've no problem with people being gay, as long as it doesn't infringe on everybody else and it's not forced through education, it's not forced down, and it's not pushing our way of life to the side and saying
Well,
this is the way.
Well, it is, and people are going to be saying now on their Facebooks, on the Windows 95 computers, they're going to be saying, oh, Derek is a racist, oh, Derek is a homophobic, oh, Derek is this, Derek is that. But that's creating division. That's what Leo Varadkar wants. That's what the Democrat Party in America wants for the New World Order. And I'm saying to you, I'm Irish. That's what I
Yeah.
am. I'm looking at the Proclamation of Independence that half of your listeners have even read. And I'm saying to you, read the first paragraph. All Irish men and women, including the unborn generations, has a right to this land. That's the brief synopsis of the Proclamation of Independence. And how these liberal, diseased young people today, and I'm young myself, and I've
Mm.
told your listeners already, and I'm telling my local community, I do not associate with young people today. And it's a disgrace what's happening in this country, that the people don't care for what's going on. You got the young people queuing after the pub. You got the young people going to college queuing after the pub. That's what you have. We have an
I think they're
alcoholic society.
brainwashed though from a very young age. Unfortunately, the schooling system has brainwashed them into this liberal agenda, and they don't actually even know the words that they're shouting at people. They've just been told. They've never been told to question anything. This is that anybody who thinks badly, anybody who says words against, you know, a book or anything that they consider as a racism, and they should be attacked and they should die because, or made shut up because otherwise they could create a war. Like they believe this so much so they're scared into standing up for their own rights.
You
And
know,
that,
telling your listeners, and I'm speaking to local communities of Ireland, and when I say Ireland, I'm saying the 6 counties as well. I'm saying when I was in school, I went to De La Salle in Waterford. I had over 1,000 in primary school, and I went to secondary school. I had over 3,000 in secondary school, and I can be proud that when I was in school, I questioned what I was studying. I was questioning. One of my best subjects was English, and my English teacher, Mr. Costello, fantastic man, and he really taught in a manner that brings up your self-esteem, your enthusiasm for the love of studying English. And my other subject was history, and I did biology as well. I had fantastic teachers. I didn't grow up in an environment where I was told to shut up, push up, but that's the environment that my children are growing up in. And if and when the LGBT sex education is legislated, I will be petitioning my school, and I'm talking to all the young families that are listening to this, to petition your school as well. Petition the board of management. Don't petition the teacher. Don't petition the principal. You petition the board of management against this sex education bill that's going against the common good of society in the school, which is children. Children should be children, and they should not be spoon fed a agenda in the schooling environment. And I foresee, and I'm telling you, listeners, I foresee homeschooling in Ireland the new fad, the new trend. And I welcome
absolutely.
it. But I'm speaking as a young family man, and I'm speaking for the other young families out there. How can I homeschool my children when I want to work? How can I homeschool my children when I got young children in the house as well? I see from people
I
in
think
other
school
countries.
schooling will have to be done. Like what we'll have to do, go back to something like the hedge schools, where there will certain people take on who was a teacher or who has skills in it, um, and can just teach about their culture, their heritage, their history, their language, like they had to do in the hedge schools. We are going to have to go back. Those times are coming back, and we're going to have to do school pooling where, where in the community somebody takes it on and says, look, I can teach maths, or someone else, I can teach Irish, and then you just pull together as a community and go against this government that is destroying our heritage, culture, everything, trying to destroy it. So it'll be so watered down, it will not be anything. We will not be any. You wouldn't be able to say that person is Irish or that person is British, that person is American. We'll all be one, and that's what the world order wants. That you cannot identify people as French, German, which is a very sad thing. What they want to do is kill off diversity, not keep.
That's true. That is true. Diversity. But I'm also saying to your listeners, no one could advocate for your children. No one can teach your children better than you, and the mother and the father and the family. I know some young families don't have extended family behind them. But stand up for your children. You brought them into life. You care for them. You look after them. You mind them. You guide them. You bring them up the right way with morals. Where every action there's a reaction. For every action there's a consequence. Little Johnny, don't look at the TV. You leave the room, he turns it on and says, little Johnny, now there's no more TV today because you didn't listen to daddy. Stuff like that. I hear if I had 1 cent and the government wanted to take away the 1 cent, if I had 1 cent for every time I heard Irish people saying, sure, Derek, they're only children. Don't need children. Leave them alone. Derek, don't you break in the car there. Leave them alone. Don't need children. Don't need playing. Don't need playing, Derek. Derek, don't need burn the car. Let them burn the car. The insurance will pay for it. Go on now. Let them play. Let children be children. And that's horrible. That is a
I
sick.
don't think. I think it's just that those. And I'm not putting any area down. I think in some areas there were children having children because of lack of education, and sometimes they. And I think one of the reasons why people picked abortion, because some people were begrudging them. Now I don't begrudge them having children as children, but unfortunately, what they should have done is educate them and show them the right way. They were too young, a lot of them in these areas, and they weren't brought up in a safe or an environment either. So you've had generations of this kind of, maybe too much drinking, taking drugs, violence. So they haven't really known. So they go on to another generation without really knowing right from wrong, and sometimes encouraging their kids to do horrendous things. And that's where the cycle of education and really bringing back into our heritage who they are, because somewhere along the way, particularly in Dublin, they've lost their heritage. They don't know who they are, and they've lost it for a good few generations. They don't know anything about their culture. Most of them don't know any Irish, know nothing about who their ancestors were, and they're very much lost. And when you have a lost people, you tend to get that violent kind of, because they don't know who they are or what they are, and the government's hoping that the state become the hero. But when you take away religion, you take away everything from people, you just end up with quite a violent, because they've no structure, they've no right to wrong, because before, religion, however bad it is or whatever, now I'm brought up in Church of Ireland, but you had certain things that you knew was right and wrong, and everybody as Christians, you're told, you're told, thou shalt not murder, thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal. You're given certain guidelines to follow. And that was the good thing about religion. But now that they haven't got that, that's a huge thing that they've taken away from them. And also about family values, everything's been very mixed up. And what you're going to have is quite a lot of violence. And people don't care about who they are. They don't care about their culture anymore because it's been chipped away for so long. They don't even know it. Sad days ahead there.
It's the Bon Ring Show on ITV.ie and Irish News Radio. We were talking to Derek about a horrific incidents that happened to him. He was given a death threat for speaking out. A man at a motorbike came up in a balaclava and told him that they didn't like what he was saying and he better watch the step. So, Derek, how have you been?
Yes, I was getting phone calls from supporters in my local community back in Roscommon that have heard about the developments with me. I just wanted to make sure that I'm okay, and I just advise that, none to worry about. I am fine. And, my wife is in work, as I said, and I've mentioned, and, life does go on. I've been through worse. If your listeners have followed me, they know my story. Where Derek McCabe comes from, and to know where someone is going in life, you have to know where they came from. Point A to point B, and that's what I'm saying to the local community. We need more normal people in politics in this country. And yes, this is Ireland we're talking about, not America or the UK or France. Patriotism in Ireland today is seen as a radical view in a country. But I'm saying to those local community people that are saying that, I'm saying love for your country is not radical. Love for your country is meant to be being proud of your country. And that's why in my school, I'm advocating on National Flag Day for March the 8th of this coming year, 2019, that I want my school under my organization to host an event. I've mentioned it already on your show, but for the new listeners, I want to advocate for a National Flag Day event where I will talk about the colours of the flag. Green is nationalism, the orange is for the people of Ulster, and the white is the peace between both communities. And I'll be talking to the children there, I'll be advising them what colour is our flag, do you like the colours of the flag? If you had to, say what are your opinions of the flag, what does it mean for you, the flag, and end the event then with some sitting officers in at Lone Custom Barracks to come and fly the flag then on, full mast to close the festivities. I will be inviting sitting councillors to the event, and it's a show of solidarity. I'll be inviting Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael affiliates to the event. But your listeners will be saying, but Derek, look, you're here telling us not to vote for these people. Oh, yes, I'm telling you not to vote for them, number one. But also, where I'm coming from, I want to show unity from my own perspective that Derek is not, how can I put, segregating people because of their party affiliation. Like, I know families in my local community that are torn apart this Christmas. I was just speaking to one community member there, and she was saying to me, Derek, there's no Christmas this year. There's no Christmas this year in my house. And what I'm saying to the Irish people, they are upset. We are upset with you. We're a united Ireland. And I've mentioned to your listeners already, a divided Ireland is a fabrication of the British mandated Republic of Ireland. And I'm saying to the local community member there, sing Our Naveen. That's our national anthem. But at the same time, know that a 26 county Ireland is a British mandated Ireland, not Ireland that was envisioned in 1916, but the Ireland that was envisioned through the British mandate. And I just want the local community just to be made aware. I want the people of Ireland to come to an understanding that what's going on in this country right now, it is something of proportions that we haven't seen in this country in a generation or two, definitely since 100 years ago. And look, we're talking here about my death threats that I received, but I'm saying to your listeners, has Derek spent much emphasis speaking about those death threats? I haven't, because I've dealt with the guards' official statements. I know the legal process. I've advised my wife that there's no immediate threats to me. But I'm going to say to your listeners, who received the death threats? It was Anna Kavanagh. Anna Kavanagh at this time received severe death threats for the information that she holds privacy at this moment in time. But I'm going to come out in support and solidarity with Anna right now. I worked previously for Tulsa, and we've discussed it on the previous show. And while my tenure with Tulsa was, contracted, what I saw and what I witnessed during my time working with Tulsa is beyond shocking. The current law in this country is if a child is absent from school for a period of over 21 days, Tulsa will be involved through the board of management of the school that will report said child absent for over 21 days. Tulsa will appoint a social worker to the case, which is the child. The case is direct to the child. They won't call the child Johnny. They will call it a case, and each case is individual to the next. The child will be taken off the family pending further investigations into child negligence, because under the Constitution of Ireland, every child has the right to education. And I feel all your listeners are in solidarity with that view. But at the same time, who is to stop one family from going on holidays? Look, if a family goes on extensive holidays during the school year, that's their own prerogative. No one, and I've mentioned this already to my local community, no one can advocate on the local community in the household, number one. Number two, no school should have the authority in Ireland to call the government in to police your children. And I've touched it on the first part of the show where I was mentioning about Catherine Sapone, the American-born citizen without child, advocating on our Irish children. And I'm talking to your listeners right now. Let's look at all the Christian countries and some Muslim countries as well, and Israel, and let's see how many foreign-born influenced citizens. Remember, this woman is not nationalized as an American. She's born in America. And she's coming to this country and telling us how to parent our children when she does not even have child of her own. Now, I'm not attacking people of their sexual orientation. I've already mentioned it. It's an island for all Irish men and women, not persons. Pregnant women are included in that as well. And I'm saying to local community, we need to stand up before our children are taught extreme sexual education agenda, which is unacceptable in a civilized society. We should not be teaching our children about 48 genders. We should not be teaching our children about the different formalities of a family unit. A family unit is the mother, the father, and the children. And I accept there's single mothers out there and single fathers out there and grandparents out there and adoptive parents out there. But let's talk here about brass tacks. A family unit, the traditional family unit, is the mother and the father and the children. And that's what our children should be taught. It comes back to morals and family values. And the school education system should be the beacon of hope in that. But it's not. That's why this country needs, I believe, 3 generations to fix the problem. But I'm going to say during my lifetime, when I die, I want people to say Derek started something, but let's now finish it. I'm not going to say I line up on the wall in Kilmainham jail and I'll die there tomorrow for my country, because this is not a country I want to die for. And I'm saying that to your listeners right now, let me make that clear. And some of your listeners were in the army. This is not a country I want to die for under any circumstances. Let me make that clear. This is not a country I want to die for. And at the end of the day, we're a neutral country. The EU army is coming. And I want to commend Luke Ming for highlighting those issues. I know some listeners are pro-life like myself, do not want to talk to Luke Ming, but I'm saying to those people, I'm saying, listen, pro-life issues now is another divide in this country. The country is already divided anyway because of the 26 counties. So I'm saying to the local community, do not create fabricated divisions in our country more so than they need to be made anymore. I'm saying to the local community and to the listeners that are listening to this program here across the world, even, well, definitely in Ireland, and I'm saying to those community members to understand that Luke Min is a man of integrity. First, he spoke for abortion on demand, tune after the pub, for a medical card. And I'm saying to those, let's teach Luke what he's advocating to kill. Let's teach Luke what they're doing with the body parts, with the little fingers and the little legs and the cells, the baby. Let's teach Luke about that. Let's teach Luke about the cream. Let's teach Luke about the infections that babies are in. It's disgusting. They put unborn babies that are aborted, blend them in blenders, medical blenders, and they blend them into a liquid and put them into injections that we're giving to our children in schools. Now, I don't know how much percentage of those aborted babies are getting into Ireland, but certainly in America it's common practice. And that's why in America, you hear American families, they don't vaccinate their children. And I'm saying to the Irish people, you need to wake up, because the situation is much, much worse than a death threat to me. The situation is much, much worse than Anna Kavanagh's death threats. The situation in this country is much, much worse than a pro-life issue. And that's what I'm saying to the local community and your listeners. Don't stick on one issue. You're pro-life, stay pro-life, focus on other issues. I'm trying to say to the local community and your listeners, someone who is pro-life will remain pro-life till they die. They don't need to be convinced. The ones that need to be convinced are the ones that are for killing babies after the pub. And those are the ones that don't believe in God. So do not, under any circumstance, when you're talking to your fellow local community members and your family, do not bring religion into this, because these people want to kill babies free on medical card, tune after the pub. They do not believe in God.
No, I don't think anybody could believe in God if you. That it's one of the main commandments, thou shalt not kill. You can't even be a Christian. It's a disgrace what's going on. But a lot of the leaders around the world we see are childless. Like you have Leo, you have a lot of them. You have May in the United Kingdom. You look all around the world, and you wonder why all of a sudden the main leaders of the world, France, etc., Canada, are all childless. Actually, Canadian, I'm not sure about. Maybe he does have children. But when you just have a quick glance of England, Ireland, France, around the world, they tend to be childless. And the ones that tend to have children have very safe countries. Like you look at Eastern European countries, Hungary, Czech Republic, any of those ones.
Parts of Africa as well are very safe countries. My wife's country, for example, Alpha Conde is the president. He's a family man with family values, and that country is booming right now.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at my wife's country, and they're honourable people. And I'm talking, I want to clarify here now, we're talking about a lot of issues, yes, again, are all related. But when I look at immigration in this country, I'm looking at tax paying citizens, because my wife's community, they're from Guinea, and the Guinea community of Ireland, all of the Guinea community of Ireland, they're citizens in this country. Now, when people look at African migrants in this country, they have the impression of a particular group of people, which I will not name, and they get the impression that all the African people are like that. But I'm saying to your listeners and the local community that I'm not against integration in Irish society. These Africans and these other foreigners, I'm talking about all foreigners, but specifically because I have relation that are African, I'm talking about all Irish men and women, and these are Irish men and women of today, and these are tax-paying people who have businesses, who are paying their tax, and they're doing good in this country. But the foreigners that I'm against coming in this country across the board are on the UN refugee agency run camps, and these are the people in the UN run camps that I'm against from coming into Ireland. And it has to be noted with your listeners that on December the 27th, there's over 100 Lebanese economic migrants that is coming to Ireland, that's coming to Roscommon on the 27th of December. And I'm telling the local community in Baljeeran that you need to stand up for your local community. I'm speaking to community members in Ballyhonus and Mayo, and they're telling me what's happened their local community over the years. Church of Ireland church windows have been broken into. They're going around willy-nilly like they own Ballyhonus now because they have some businesses. And I'm saying to the local communities of Ireland that we need to stand up and have a voice against the ones that are coming in here under the UN EU arrangements that I have a quota under. I worked in immigration and I continue to, but I'm taking a break, but I worked in immigration. And let me tell you something, what I've witnessed is an utter disgrace. I've already touched on it before. It's an utter disgrace. You have people coming in this country under false names. You got people coming in this country on UN programs. Let me tell you something. Camps in Lebanon, and they declared asylum under the false pretenses that they're Christians and they're running away from a Muslim majority country under the false pretense that their life's at risk. And you got the Minister for Foreign Affairs, Taoiseach Simon Coveney from Cork, advocating that these are good people. And I am saying to Simon, I'm saying, listen, my wife's family are good people. My fellow immigrant community are good people. The immigrant community living in Ireland are good people. But the immigrant community that you want to come in here are not refugees. They are economic migrants looking for child benefits to send it back to their own country and start building their houses in their own country. And I'm telling the local community here that enough is enough. You're not racist if you say you don't want them to come in here. Because I've already mentioned it already, this is not about race here. Because there's immigrant community here in Ireland that are integrating, that are speaking Irish better than you and better than me. And these people, you don't see them as Irish. But I'm saying to you, they are Irish. What I'm advocating for is regulations. What I'm advocating
I don't actually believe in all that, Derek. What I believe in, personally, well, I can only speak on myself, I don't believe anybody has the right to go to anyone's country. I don't think, and I don't believe that's a human right. If this country needs certain people, like I have many African friends now, and they would totally all agree with me.
Where are they from?
They're from Botswana, and I have one Malawi, a good friend of mine from Malawi and Botswana, and they're lovely people, absolutely lovely. And they cannot stand North Africans. They really, that's their thing. They say that in Botswana particularly, that they don't have open borders. They would not allow North Africans into their country. There's no way. They're too dangerous. They bring danger. Botswana is quite a wealthy African country. It's full of diamonds, so they don't want that. But personally, what I believe is, if your heritage, both your parents are Irish or African, both your parents are African or wherever they're from. Not, I hate saying African because it's like making it a country. Botswana, or just take a country in Africa, because it's like saying both your countries are European. And I know I've been corrected on that, and rightly so, by different African countries. But and I think we have a false thing of thinking Africa's one country when it's very, very, very different. It's as different as Europe, because they all have their own cultures, their own languages, their own traditions, and they're not similar at all. So say you have two parents, then you're Irish. If you have one parent and one parent from Botswana or whatever African, then you are half, and you are equally entitled to both, and you should be equally proud of both. I don't agree with people coming into this country and just dropping their other side. I'm like, my partner is Croatian, and I've always said to him, if we had a child, whether it was in Ireland or Croatia, the child is half Croatian, and I always want them to know that part, and I think that's as important as the other. You know, that is who they are, and that's what they're made of, and they should know their heritage and their background of what makes them. Now, equally so, if you have, but I don't believe if you're just born here and you breathe in the air, you become Irish. If that's not your heritage, if that's not your culture, then that's not who you are, and nor should you want to be, any more than I go to Saudi Arabia or I had a child in Saudi Arabia, that child becomes Saudi Arabian, and because I was there long enough, I breathe in air and I become an Arab. That is not who I am or who I ever will be, but I shouldn't want to be that either. You should be proud and strong in whoever your culture and your heritage is, and that is diversity. Diversity is not destroying it all and saying we're all one. That's a bullshit diversity. That's not diversity at all. We should all be able to cater for everyone's culture and embrace it. Now, the problems that come is like religions like Islam, because it's not because it's more than a religion, because it is a political, it's a banking, it's a washing, it's an ideology that covers everything from the moment you step out of bed, on how you step out of bed, how you wash your face, when you wash your face, how you pray, when you pray, what you wear, when you wear it, how you pray. And it also, you know, has things like gender apartheid. You have women at the back of the church, men to the front. You have huge enforce of against human rights and animal rights because of how the animals are killed, and against women's rights because you have a complete where women are supposed to step 10 steps behind a man. Women are worth less than two of a man. So if a woman gets raped, she has to have a man testify. Like it's an insane system where women are worth less than a goat. And, you know, as you read the Quran, you realise that there's like, you know, there's number one is man. Even slaves come before women in the Quran, and animals. Women have just been recently lifted up to the level of just under a goat of worth, and that is the worth of them, which sounds pretty horrific. They went from being a piece of paper or pen belonging to a man, whether it was belonging to a father, a brother, a son, or an uncle, to then going on to now just under a goat, and that's seen as progressive, and that's the truth. And who's on the UN board? Saudi Arabia. There's no human rights in Saudi Arabia. That's when you know it's a fake organization.
I just listened to you where you said that if you come to this country, you don't become a citizen. I'm asking your listeners, go make your life in Dubai and see if they will give you citizenship, because I know I have family members over there in Dubai, and I can confirm that they're not United Arab Emirates citizens. They're not. They do not give citizenship to people coming into the country. If you're in that country, you do not become an Emirati, sorry. And the reason being, and this is a clear point for your listeners to note, that their Dubai, the United Arab Emirates government, the Emirates, they do not want to give people citizenships because if they did, the whole of India will be in the country. And I'm asking your listeners to go to Dubai for your holiday, 750 direct on Emirates. Go to Abu Dhabi and see the country for yourself, because the country is full of Indians. And I'm using this as an example because it's a very clear point here I'm making. I'm not talking about France. I'm not talking about another Christian country. I'm talking about a Muslim country here. You will not see Arabs walking around. You won't. And you're probably saying to me, Derek, where will you see these Arabs? Well, you won't see them. The same way that when I'm in Dublin, I don't see Dublin people now around. But I see foreigners, but I don't see Dublin people. And that's what I'm saying to the local community. Do you want Ireland to become like the United Arab Emirates? A Muslim country, but they do not even have Sharia law. They don't, because women dress whatever way they want according to their own beliefs. But I'm talking from the Muslim perspective that it's a Muslim country, but yes, they accept people of other cultures. And what I'm trying to say to the listeners is they don't give citizenships willy-nilly. And
They don't
they
give
don't give...
citizenships at all because they're not entitled to anything. I've known a few people who've lived in Saudi. And yes, Westerners are allowed wear what they like in certain areas, like Dubai and Bahrain. But the rest of the Arab countries, women are not allowed wear what they like. They have to wear the burqa. And that's fully covered. But they still practice Islamic law. If you get raped in Dubai, you will get up to 70 lashes, whether you're Westerner or not. If you're Muslim, you could be sentenced to death or stoning. Sharia law, Islamic law, is practiced in all Islamic countries. Whether they do allow Westerner women wear what they like, but if you get caught raped, if you go in and foolishly enough to report rape in Dubai, as some Western women have, and the problem again with our media is it doesn't play, but there has been a few stories that have gone out, you will get up to 70 lashes. There was one like a year, 2 years ago, an Australian girl, she received 70 lashes for being raped. Because foolishly, the media doesn't tell you this beautiful country, beautiful, and if everything's fine and you're safe, but if anything goes wrong, if you're raped by an Arab, you are under Sharia law, you are under Islamic law, and that is adultery. Sex outside of marriage is a sin that can be stoned to death if you're Muslim. But if you're Western, you'll probably get 70 lashes. That's what's going to happen to you. They don't see and they don't believe rape is a crime because women have no value in Islam. There is no value for a woman.
No. And what I'm saying to listeners, we do not want Ireland to become, how can I push it, an Abu Dhabi. We don't want Ireland to become a country where we're not Irish no more. And I'm saying to the local community, think very clearly when it comes to immigration in this country. We had before refugees, we did, but there's no refugees today. And I want to make that clear, and I want to put emphasis on that. There's 3 words that I've banned in my house: refugees, sorry, and hope. The worst thing a child can say to the parents is sorry, because they will do it again. The worst thing you can say as an adult, wanting to get a job, oh, I hope to get the job. I'm telling Sarah, what are you hoping for? Get out there and get the job done. Don't be hoping. Obama was bringing hope to the African Americans in America, but let's go and ask those African Americans now today. Bring some African Americans on your show today from YouTube and ask them what Obama did for them, because they will say he did nothing. He did nothing.
Absolutely. All African Americans will say that. And the funny thing is, we don't get that coverage over here. You're quite correctly saying, because I've talked to a few African Americans and they've said, no, he didn't. Even his health care was a sham. It was too expensive. It didn't work. It was an actual sham. The only people who liked it and liked Obama was the white liberals, the same white liberals that run this country and runs this media, was the ones who liked Obama. The majority of Africans and minorities couldn't stand him because he did nothing for them. Nothing he went into power and promised them. He didn't look after them. He didn't do anything. He looked after Muslims and Islam and had secret meetings with Saudi Arabia. He did horrendous deals with Iran that would put the world in danger. He supplied and trained and supported an Islamic group that he calls moderate terrorists, which majority turned out to be ISIS. Surprise, surprise. That's what he did. He put the world in chaos and Europe in chaos. That is what Obama did.
The funding of ISIS was fabricated by the US government. And I think people are waking up to that America supplied them with arms. America put the agenda to the Muslim people, promising them hope, and I'm saying to Irish people that that promise of hope is not welcomed here in Ireland.
No, well, that hope was supplying and training to kill Syrian Christians. People forget that. Whether you like Assad or not, if you talk to the Syrian Christians, they love Assad because he's saving them. And the Russians came in to protect the Syrian Christians. What America and the West did was supply and train Muslims that were killing Christians, that were putting Christians out of their areas, like Mosul, which they'd been there for hundreds of years, thousands of years. It's an old Christian area. And they were training and supplying and protecting Muslims who were killing Christians, who were a minority or very much in a dangerous situation. And instead,
what I'm saying to those people is that did they not know the Prophet Muhammad was inviting Christians over for Eid, for their Christmas? Did you not know that Prophet Muhammad neighbors were Christians? And I'm saying to the local community that these people, so-called Muslims that we're invited into this country, we have to be very, very careful of them because their way of living, their way of understanding is not meeting our criteria. We have Muslims in this country and they're business owners. I can confirm that. They are taxpayers. They're running their businesses and they're not messing around. But the ones that are messing around are coming through the UN programs. They are the migrants we should be worrying about, not the ones already in our country. And we have to be very afraid that what we invite into this country, what we welcome them in, is a majority male population. And these males will want to go after vulnerable women. And I've spoken to them. I've spoken to many, many vulnerable women since I've declared my candidacy for my local constituency in South Roscommon. These women are contacting me and they are really vulnerable. And I worry for them that if Alibaba and Aladdin on a flying carpet come over to Ireland and meet with them, they'll promise them heaven on earth and sweep off their feet, get them pregnant, keep them in the house every day, cooking food, beat them up, and have more children with them, and then leave them then and go off and marry their own people. And I'm saying to the local community that we need to be awake.
absolutely. And it needs to, people stop being afraid of talking out. We need to actually understand that this is dangerous. I might even go a step forward, further than that. The Muslims here, now some of them have been connected to Muslim Brotherhood.
I can confirm that Klunsky Mosque, Ibrahim Halalaway's family are associated with the Muslim Brotherhood. And I'm saying to the Muslim community, do not affiliate yourself with them, because All the political parties supported Ibrahim Halawa's release from the Egyptian prison on the false pretense that the man was innocent. The man is not innocent, and I'm going to go publicly about that. That man went to Egypt with Irish citizenship, treason to the country to take part in a war. We're a neutral country. And when one of our citizens goes to fight a war, they're committing treason against the country. Have you ever thought about that? I don't think your listeners have ever thought about that. They're saying, what's Derek spoofing about? It's in the Constitution that we are a neutral country, first and foremost. And when one of our citizens goes and fights a war that's not a war for this country, it's treason. He went there and took up arms in Egypt and uproared there when they were taking away the former president that's in the country. And what I'm saying to them is that that family should not be welcomed into this country. The Klunsky Mosque should speak out against it. The Islamic Culture Centre of Ireland in South Circle Road should speak out against that Ibrahim Halawa family, because it's the Ibrahim Halawa family that's going to give Muslims in this Ireland, Irish Muslims in this Ireland, a bad name. A bad
You see,
name.
the Klonsky Mosque, he runs the Klonsky Mosque. His father obviously runs the Klonsky Mosque, and it's heavily rigged. The whole lot. If you are a Muslim, you are
Organization.
following Islam, and following Islam is a danger to any Christian, any Jew, because they pray 5 times a day. There's majority of their book is anti-Christian and anti-Jew. They hate them, and they're thought to hate them from a very young age, and that's right through the Quran, the Hadith, and the Sunnah, all the way through it. So they are a danger. You can, and I know many ex-Muslims who speak out about it, who've left Islam, who've had a horrific life, now even one worse, because there's such a thing as apostate. Well, you can't leave Islam. It's not like just saying, oh, I'm not a Christian anymore, I'm not a whatever anymore. Nobody cares. In Islam, they do. It's a death sentence. And this is not a joke, like, this is an actual, where they will kill you if you're an Islamic country, because their shame and honor is completely different understanding. So what they see is you've brought shame and honor, not just to your family, but your community. So they will come and kill you. If you're in a Christian country, that can still happen to you. So they have to leave every single thing, their mother, their father, everything they know behind to become an ex-Muslim. It's not that easy. It's a very, very difficult. They have to be put in different parts, and they have to be put through like an American, like somebody who puts in a safety house. These houses, no, they cannot make a communication outside or even talk to anybody who is a Muslim that will be able to pinpoint their accent of where they're from. It's a very, very secure, dangerous thing to leave Islam, because their view on right and wrong is completely different. It's not the same thing, and until we understand that it's not the same, not all communities, not all cultures are the same. Rights and wrongs, if you're not a Christian, it doesn't really matter what colour skin you are, you'll have similar rights and wrongs. You've been told not to kill, you not to do this. In Islam, it doesn't matter the colour of your skin either. If you're from the North Pole to Africa, if you've been taught Islam, and that you've been taught that the Muhammad was the biggest deceiver of all, and he even talks when he went to hell and visit hell, and he saw majority of them were women. Like, you could see he completely different rights and wrongs and then views. It wasn't good. He had 9 wives. One of them was a child bride. Jesus Christ didn't get married. His best friend was a prostitute, Mary Magdalene, and he helped the person that they were stoning, which was normal in those days. He stopped stoning. He said, the first person to cast a stone, may you never have sinned in your life. It's a very different person. So we have very different principles of what's right and wrong. Muhammad killed 800 Jews personally when he went into Medina as a refugee. That's the complete difference of a story, and that's why we have completely different morals and views of what's right and wrong, because the two leaders are completely different.
You're right there with statements saying that we need integration. We need integration in this Ireland of ours. It's a modern Ireland. Leo Varadkar said back in May that it's a new politics. And I'm saying to the local community that the immigrant communities that are here in Ireland, we need to have integration more so than ever. The way I see the country
Unfortunately,
going,
Derek, that's a thing that England and most of Europe have tried with these communities, and they've found 3 or 4 generations
you're
later they're
uh,
more Islamic than their grandparents were coming to the UK.
exact, and you are right there. France is going through huge problems now with the Algerians. But I'm saying to the local community, and when I say local community, I'm talking about the immigrants as well. I'm saying to the local community that France and Ireland are not the same country, right? Britain and Ireland are not the same because
No, but even Britain, you look at Britain and anywhere in Europe, I mean, I know they're not the same, but you're going to have the same issues. There's not much difference. Britain bend backwards, still do bend backwards. I was listening to a woman whose son was murdered the other night. Um, the guy got on his car and he killed three boys, only 16, and there was a group of them that was lucky there was more killed. Now the government have hid, now so much so it's actually quite shocking what they did. They lied so much so even the media have fake quotes of where she was like talking about drink driving as if it was drink driving. It wasn't about drink driving. The guy was a Muslim, and they've been hiding, and not just her son's murder, but many more, and have been putting it under like drink driving or mental illnesses or other false labels. So much so that I knew that the papers lied and everything, and I knew that they maybe fabricated the truth to an extent, or maybe hide the truth. I didn't know that they went out and gave false quotes of what, and this is in the UK, of what a person says. And the other mothers there, false quotes of what actually had happened. And they had them a picture of the 3 women with talking about their sons, and then completely fabricating everything else. It's insane. That's the stage we're at. So there's no way people would actually have known that if I didn't actually interview the woman and talk to her personally. There is no way any media has it that it was a drunk driver. And even when it went to court, and they said they showed a road map, and that it was all made up. And literally, she's been told, "Yeah, we've lied. What can you do about it? Come and get us," sort of thing. They're actually laughing at people now. That's how bad it is.
no, they are, and I want to say, to everyone that's listening, that I'm a man for a law and order society. With any civilized society in the world, we need law and order, and nothing can be done if the immigrant community and the economic migrants, because they are coming no matter what on the 27th of December, that they respect the laws of the land. And it's very important that the people that are coming into this country adhere to those values. But under the current government, under the current councillors that are in the 26 councils of Ireland, that's not the case.
Not going to
They're
happen. Absolutely. It's not going to happen. If we had a decent government, you're completely correct. And that made and said, look, if you come in, you cannot wear your burqas. If you want to wear your burqas in your own home, that's perfectly right. But everybody else, you have to follow the same rules as everybody else. And everybody on that street has to be identifiable. Everybody, wherever you go, you have to be able to be identified. And that is just safety for everybody. You can't drive a car with a burqa because, it blocks your vision. If you want to wear it in your own home, that is your own business. Now, the thing about them having 4 wives, which they do in the UK, but because they're not registered, because they're not seen as marriages, they're like, their marriages are different. You can only have one spouse that you are claiming for, and have. But you see, the UK authorities said a lot of their names are Mohammed and they're too similar. They couldn't chase them. You have to chase them. Absolutely. One wife you can claim for, and that's it. Otherwise, it's bigamy and you've broken the law. But you have to start, and that's the problem. Even with female mutilation, and we've had that in this country, we've had a female mutilation clinic. They're not going after the people. There's like 100 and something a week in United Kingdom, maybe higher, new cases of female mutilation. Not one person has ever been prosecuted. Nobody gets their children taken away. Just us taking children away for parking tickets. There's not one person. And when I even rang it's under the famine planning clinic, believe it or not, these female mutilating clinic. Now, they're not actually doing it here. They're saying that these girls come in. But come on, they come in with their whole families. They didn't just come in. So the mother and father was there. And they, following that tradition, their daughters, there was a 3-year-old who nearly bled to death in Dublin about a year ago or 2 years ago. There's nothing being done. The father was let off. There's nothing being done. Like, all those children should be taken off them. If they're doing that for that daughter, all their children, and the father and the mother should be criminalised. And unless we follow our laws, which we're not, when it comes to Islam, we're not. There's one rule for everybody else, and there's one rule for Muslims. And that can't be. You can't have a two-tiered system, and where you're constantly making excuses for them, constantly covering up their crimes. Like, even to points where a young boy was raped in Europe. I can't remember which country. And the judge said, well, the boy didn't say no. The boy was like something like 3 years of age. He didn't say no, so the immigrant didn't know it was wrong. This sort of crap, they go to court and they get off for rubbish reasons. They didn't know rape was wrong. When they're attacking gang rapes, over 1 million children gang raped in the United Kingdom. Some people are saying it could be up to 3 million. This is out of proportion craziness, and the only reason, because the police, they started hiring Muslim police, when it gets to the judges and then up to the top, all the way from their government, has been criminal. Basically have just let them off. If it's Muslim, if your child is murdered, and they're treated as if they're the bad person. The woman I talked to, her son was murdered. She said she's been treated horrendously from the police, from the courts, everything, as if she's some sort of racist because her son was killed. And she's refusing to go by the whole thing that they want to say it's a drunk. She was like, it wasn't. There's no proof that he was a drunk. He was a Muslim and he knew exactly what he was doing. And the government and the media are kind of annoyed because she won't go by their little story. So she's having to fight this and prove that she's not the only one who's having to fight this. And she's taken on the whole media, everybody, on to try and fight for justice for her son. It's horrendous. But that's where we are today.
It is.
And until people realise and stop pretending it's all the same, or it'll all magically disappear, or they'll magically evolve into Irish or British people, that doesn't happen. Because they come from a very different core set. Even if you never open the Bible, if you're brought up in a Christian country, in a Christian environment, it doesn't matter where the hell it is or what colour it is. If you brought up with Christian values, you will be able to assimilate into other Christian values without too much of a hiccup. There might be a bit of kosher stuff, but if the Christians, rights and wrongs are pretty much the same. If you're brought up in an Islamic one, you're not going to ever fit. And no matter the amount of time, unless you leave Islam, then maybe. But if you follow Islam and you're a true Muslim, you cannot fit into a Christian. You cannot, because the morals are completely different, and safety to our children and women it's too dangerous. I don't know whether you saw those women who were decapitated. One was Danish and Norwegian. They were on holidays in Morocco. Now, they were complete liberals. They were going on about, one of them made a video. Now, God love them and God rest their souls. They made a video about, not judging, Islams, and it was a whole advert about, they're the good people, and it was all about integrating and, look at that, and, white people. It was white guilt, basically, advertisement. She got... Absolutely, it's all on YouTube, and God love her parents watching this. Now you see her screaming, crying. She's like, "Ow, ow, ow!" While he's slashing her neck. And he turns around. Now this is on the video. Turns around and he cuts her throat open, and then hacks her head off. And then one of them spits on her face after he decapitates her. This is on YouTube. It's absolutely horrific. And these are the people the government's bringing in now. That is Islam. People go, oh, that's the extremist. ISIS. There isn't. If you're following Islam, you are following Islam. If you're not, you're not. There is only one. There isn't lots of different books. No, the only good thing is lots of Muslims don't know Islam. They don't really know it, which is quite good. And a lot of them pretend they don't know it. There's something called taqiyya and kitman, which is legal in Islam. Which taqiyya is you can dress up as a Christian and say you're a Christian, and you're fine to do that, but still being Muslim if it's to benefit Islam. You can be a kitman, you can hide the truth and you can lie, you can do whatever. It's completely different. There is no assimilating to this. The only way to actually know if a real ex-Muslim is to get out an ex-Muslim who really is an ex-Muslim, and you'll know because they speak out and they go out. Then they will know the right questions to ask. There's certain questions you have to ask to find out whether they're telling the truth. And it's usually about Muhammad, because no matter how much, they're not allowed to speak badly about Muhammad. So you can ask them about other things, but once you ask them, do you believe Muhammad was a paedophile? Do you believe certain things like Muhammad? Once they say say no or whatever, then you know that they haven't left Islam. They're doing taqiyya or kitman is what they're doing, and that's the problem.
Well, what I doubt, your listeners have to be under the awareness that it is a modern Ireland. We're not advocating for the immigrant community to be thrown out of the country. We're not advocating on condoning racism. But what I am advocating on, and what your point you are making there, is that in any law society, and people can misunderstand that, in any modern day society that has laws, what has to be adhered to is the laws of the land. If there was no laws, we'd be sleeping with our children and our brothers and sisters. Law has to be law. And let's not get away from the point of the UN Migration Pact. It's something I support in a referendum on EU membership. I want to leave EU on the pretense that we can renegotiate our current deal. We only have less than 1% in EU Parliament for these immigration quotas we're given. When Macron and Merkel say to Ireland take in 50,000, and especially on 27th December, Balgier and West Roscommon, they're going to be taking in 110 Lebanese people, 23 Lebanese families. It was Macron and Merkel told us to take those in. It wasn't our government. And we're voting these Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael, and the Sinn Feins in, and now people for profit mobsters in. And I want to really clarify what I saw on Saturday was people for profit hijacked the protest and tried to commit public damage. What I saw yesterday in Strokestown, I saw Sinn Fein hijack the protest and put it and make it political. And I'm saying to the Irish people, don't have it. Don't take it. You've bent over backwards enough for the past 800 years. Don't bend over anymore. And I'm saying, let's renegotiate our UN Security Council membership that we're pending. If we get on the UN Security Council, the EU army is coming. Because in Irish law, we're the only country in Ireland, in Europe, that the citizens have a vote on. And I don't think the Irish people understand that, because if the Irish people hear that, they'll be really proud of their country. If the Irish people hear that we're the only country in the Europe and in EU that has a say in our domestic laws, the Irish people have to be proud of that. But we don't have a say when it comes to immigration, and EU law is superior to Irish law. And under the EU policy, under the EU directives, they want economic migrants. They want the 2040 plan. The 2040 plan is sponsored by the EU. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to understand that the EU sponsors government programs. Tools Select, they sponsored free legal aid, MABs. All these programs that I'm not advocating for are EU sponsored, and I'm advocating for community-led programs run by the council. And that's why Derek is advocating for those programs, because they're community run, not EU run. The Irish Family Planning Agency is run by the EU, and the EU want abortions free on medical card, queuing after the pub across the board throughout the 26 member states. And the UK don't want that. The royal family, they have a baby on the way. They're pro-life. They're not for open borders, but they're respectful people. And they're in power in Britain now for the past 900 years because they're progressive with society. They've given the power to the people. And when you give power to the people, your values. That's why I said it comes back to law and order. If we have people in this country not respecting the law and order, then we'll have abortions on the man queuing after the pub. We'll have Alibaba raping, 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 and groping Muslim girls in Bible class.
Yeah, well, in the Quran, but not just even Muslim girls. We'll have majority because it's anger. The rape is used. It's not that the people think it's that they're completely horny or anything like that. It's anger. They
No,
are
these Muslims,
hatred.
they're horny. They're running around horny, looking to prey on innocent girls. And I'm saying to the Irish people, enough is enough. I don't want to see any of my local community members being dragged into the family courts, been dragged into the CCJ in Dublin because an economic migrant raped their child. I don't want
Yeah.
that.
Well, it's going to happen, unfortunately, and huge numbers. It's already happening in the country, particularly with women taxi drivers all over the country. There is just a huge increase in rape because
You got,
the way Muslim men see that they deserve it if they're not in a burqa.
you are right there. You got women going out, enjoying their lives, queuing after the pub, and I have my own views on that, and I've expressed it already. But they're going out enjoying their lives as they are, and I'm not advocating for what people should do in their private lives. But they're going in taxis with these economic migrants that are coming from Arab countries, and they're locking doors on these women, and they're raping them up and down the Dublin city centre, and they're screaming women's rights. And I'm saying to my local community, do you want that in your local community? Do you want these economic migrants driving your women home? You don't, because it's happening.
Yeah.
Shane Ross does not want learner drivers driving anymore in this country, and that law is effective since midnight last Saturday. If you're caught driving a car that's not your own, that you were given permission to drive with your learner license, and the car is taxed, it is NCT'd, and it is insured, you will have 4 penalty points on your license, €80 fine. But not only that, Your dad or mother who owns the car will have the car taken off them. They'll have to go to the garda compound, release the car, pay €120 release fee, and get 4 penalty points on their license, along with paying an €80 fine. And I'm saying to local community members of Ireland today that you need to wake up and smell those roses, because they don't smell nice anymore. When you got Alibaba driving your women home, your children home from the school discos, and they're raping them up and down. These men are coming over to this country. They're horny as rabbits because Ireland has the highest birth rate in Europe, and we're giving abortions on the man queuing after the pub. And I'm saying to my local community, very clearly that abortions on the man queuing after the pub free on medical cards does not work in Ireland, because we're allowing Alibaba and Aladdin coming over from Arabic countries, raping our women, screaming women's rights, and they're forcing these women to go for their abortions. And you're saying, Derek, what are you talking about? That doesn't even happen in this country. Well, I'm just saying to you, get on the plane now with Ryanair, go to John Lennon Airport, take the train over to Birmingham, and tell me you're not in India. Tell me you're not in Pakistan. Go to Manchester and tell me you're not in an Arabic country, because let me tell you something, Irish people, today. Derek McCabe, 29, married 8 years, 4 children. I'm saying to my local community now, be very, very careful of your children. I'm talking to the husbands out there. When your wife goes out on her women's party with her girlfriends, I'm not saying to babysit her. I'm saying to know where your wife or your girlfriend is at all times, because these economic migrants are going around horny. These Arabics are going around horny. Look at their own country, what they do to women in their own country. When they rape women, it's the women that's given 70 lashes. It's the women that's thrown around. Look at IZ Baby in Pakistan, only Christian in her community. And she was treated severely and highly disrespectful for being a Christian. And I'm saying to these people that you're not welcome in this country. I'm saying to the government, don't take Bibi, because if you do, you got the Ibrahim Halawi gang will come after our country now and attack us for harboring a Christian woman who wants to live her life. I want to see Bibi going to Netherlands. Netherlands have law. In Netherlands, you have to pay 5,000 to get a full driving license. In Netherlands, you don't have medical cards free on demand queuing after the pub. That's a health system I'm proud to say that I like. The health system we have in this country. We have our elderly people lying on hospital trolleys up and down the country. In my local hospital, there's over 75 elderly people at this moment in time. To your listeners, I'm saying in Portacunda Hospital, that are on hospital trolleys right now, Christmas Eve, and it's a disgrace. That's why I'm saying to the Irish people, there's no Christmas this year. I'm telling to the children of Ireland, Santa is not coming this year to this country because it's on the bad list. We're getting a lump of coal, and the coal we're getting is on the 27th of December in Balnageer in West Roscommon. We're getting 23 economic families coming in here with their second wives. And I'm saying to the local community, West Roscommon, if you do not voice your opposition to this, another 100 will be coming to Ross Key. And a further 500 will be coming next year, 2019, to Roscommon. And you won't even have a say about it. You just pull your pants down and bend over and let them scream women's rights in your face. Because that's what they've done to the Irish people for the past 400 years. And 800 if you want to include Strongbow and Wolftown. And I'm saying to the local community, and I'm getting fed up saying it, stop sitting down in your local after the pub. Get out in your local community. Knock on doors with your pen and your piece of paper, and you bought in deals €2 shop, and you're knocking on doors and you're saying, "Excuse me, Mary, what's the local issues concerning you? Do you accept this? Do you want this done? Do you want this done?" And Mary's going to say to you, "You're right, Johnny. I want you to represent me in the local community." And then you'll get your death threats then on balaclavas. But I say to those death threats, you can say death threats all you want, but I'm doing the right thing here. And the other local people in the local community are doing the right thing too. We haven't seen this uprising in over 100 years. And I'm proud to say that. And I'm saying to the people of Roscommon, what I saw yesterday was not Roscommon. It wasn't Roscommon. That wasn't Roscommon yesterday. And now a protest, queuing after the pub. That wasn't a protest. I'm saying to the local community, you need to stand up for that family. You need to stand up for the over 150,000 people in Ireland today that are facing mortgage arrears.
And every other family that's been evicted. The next time, we all should drop whatever we're doing and go down to a family. We need to start reporting this and start sticking together as a country. And no matter where the person is being evicted, we need to all get down there and train ourselves through the rails if we need to, or camp outside the doors. But we must just remain, and no more of people's houses being taken for them. Not for money. That is not their reason.
You're absolutely right in that. When the guards, the reserve guardie can protect the bank from public damage, let's protect our houses from public damage too. Let's protect our houses from evictions due to the black and tans coming back here again. That's what I'm saying to my local community. If you know a family in your local community that's in mortgage arrears, take their contact details, chat with them on WhatsApp, private communication, that's encryption, that the Leo spin machine will not be able to shut you down and know where they are 24/7. Keep tabs on their houses. I'm talking to people, I'm speaking now solely to the people that are in mortgage arrears. I'm speaking to you. You're in mortgage arrears now 1 month, 1 year, 10 years. I'm saying to you, get security cameras on your house right now. You book an appointment for the new year, you get security cameras on your house that will go to a data server on your computer. Look, you can get even security cameras that are set up to your phone. And if you can't do all of that, get ring.com. Buy ring.com. When they ring your doorbell, they will go straight to your phone. And you can't have false entry on an eviction. A knock on the door and a court order in your face. You're allowed to be in negotiation with them at the moment that you have a court order. Look, I'm not calling for no law and order. I'm a legal executive lawyer by trade, and I'm saying to the local community, if there's a court order against you, stand firm. Because the people of Ireland are only waiting. The people of Ireland are only waiting for our own garda to drag people by their ears in evictions. And when that happens, that is the end of...
I was watching an Ulster man. He's a unionist, and he was saying, you know what, Unionists and Republicans have stood together before against evictions. He was telling me about a place, Portadown, I think he said, and this time, because he heard about the Roscommon, thought it was absolutely shocking and disgusting, and that his name as a Ulster unionist was being used about it. And he says the next one, he says, we as Ulster unionists will go down and stand firm with the Catholic Southern Irish. He said this is absolutely a disgrace, and to use our name. to try and stir shit between the two communities is an absolute disgrace, when the real criminals, the bankers and the government, who are doing this.
Well, I want to
So
tell you,
it's good we
listeners,
have the ultras with us as well, so that's good, you know.
no. I want to tell you, listeners, that it's been a pleasure being on your show again.
Stay strong. It's the main thing.
It's been a pleasure always being on your show and speaking to your listeners. I'm waiting to come back on again and speak before the new year. What I am
Perfect.
seeing before I go, we need to stand up when we're faced with difficulties. And what I received yesterday morning, a death threat by someone that was drinking Red Bull, playing the PlayStation 4. I'm saying to people like that, I'm not against you. I'm not. And I want to help you. I want you to be working in your local community. I don't want you queuing after the pub. And look, I'm not advocating on anyone what to do with their children. Their children is their children. But what I'm advocating is jobs in the local community. And I do not want to see these economic migrants coming into this country, taking jobs that our local community members can be doing. The minimum wage in this country is $8.95 an hour. And I'm saying these economic migrants are coming into this country and they're working for €3, €4 an hour. And an Irish family, an Irish citizen, cannot work for €3, €4 an hour, because these people are coming from poor countries that there's no regulation. So €3, €4 an hour for them is like €20 an hour for us. So I want to say to your listeners, a Merry Christmas, and enjoy the turkey. And I will look forward to speaking to you before the new year. And no, thank you very much for having me on the show.
Thank you very much, and enjoy your Christmas. And it was great to hear from you again. And I look forward to hearing from you again. Enjoy your turkey, Derek. And we'll talk to you soon on the Bon Ree Show. Thank you very much.
You are listening to Irish News Radio at irishnews.net. Email news@irishnews.net.